Thoughts on The Wire? So The Wire is the show that I have the most interest in rewatching. I mentioned to Scott that if Scott wanted to watch The Wire, then I would watch it with him because he's going to watch it over 9 months and I can do that easily. It's not even that long, but you just take forever to do things. But you're laughing at 9 months? What are you laughing at?
No, I'm just
okay.
Speak
The Wire is great,
okay.
but I feel like I was like,
no man.
I don't know. I feel like I was like taken out of it a little bit while watching it at different points. And I think that there would be more that I'd come to appreciate on a rewatch. I also watched it a long time ago. I watched it in
you
peak
ran
COVID. I watched The Wire in like April 2020 or something like that.
Ran
It's been
through
a long time.
main like Western prestige television
I did.
shows early on COVID.
Yes. So
you were like watching The Wire, and then me and our friend that we were kind of like staying with were just like, Mark, let's watch Monogatari.
yes.
So like that, you definitely had some whiplash.
I did have some whiplash between The Wire and Monogatari. Those shows are different.
Yeah, I'm sure they are.
Yeah. No, The Wire has a lot of silly,
Okay.
fucky nonsense in it, I'm
Okay.
sure. There's a 2-minute scene where the only words that are said are just fuck. 2 minutes, like actually 2 minutes. They go to like a crime scene, they're investigating, they only say fuck for 2 minutes.
That's hysterical.
It's very funny.
Those writers were having a field
They
day.
were having a great time, yeah. But The Wire is a great show. I feel like I'm probably underappreciating it. In the grand scheme of things, I feel like it's probably the 3rd or 4th best show. Whether that be it or The Sopranos. The Sopranos just lends more main character focused, so I probably think The Sopranos is better, and that will not be usurped. But I think that if I rewatch The Wire, I will put it 4th.
Valid.
Continuing, Ted Lasso thoughts? None.
I actually enjoy Ted Lasso. I think that
It's your 3rd favorite show.
It is.
Okay.
Yeah, I think it's really interesting in the way that
He hasn't seen it. Top 5 Daft Punk songs. What are your top 5 Daft Punk songs?
I'd go Touch,
Okay.
Doing It Right, One
Fair.
More Time,
Yeah.
Get Lucky, Lose Yourself to Dance.
I'm like not even kidding. This isn't a joke. I actually I think I agree.
That's the right list.
Yeah.
That's the right list.
I'm not homework pilled though.
Neither am I.
I've listened to Homework twice and 0 times within the last year and a half. So I can't really speak much to Homework. I'm mostly a Random Access Memories and Discovery guy.
I've only heard Random Access Memories and then a few songs, like the popular songs.
But sometimes like Bigger, Faster, Stronger. I just
Yeah.
Stronger by Kanye just is better.
Oh yeah.
I'm
Obviously.
like anytime I put on the Daft Punk song, I'm just gonna switch to the Kanye song. All right, continuing. What's the best moment in Bloodborne? So any of the thematically intensive cutscenes during the Old Hunters would be a reasonable pick. I would least agree with picking Ludwig, although I
That
think
was my pick.
Come on, man. Although discussing with him after the fight, I think is really somber and dark, but touching in a good way. The fight, not the cutscene so much, although I do like A Corpse Should Be Left Well Alone a lot. The fight with Maria and watching her fighting style advance as she starts to more and more use the blood magic that she had sworn off as being immoral, as she decides that is a weaker moral burden for herself than allowing you to discover the fishing hamlet, I think is really well done. It's subtle yet poignant. And then my favorite fight in the game, The Orphan of Kos. You could pick either the intro or the Sweet Child of Kos, Return to the Sea.
I'd go with that one.
Of course you would, because it's the end.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's fine.
Either of those would be a good pick. I'd lean towards Kos. I think that the Orphan of Kos fight is the thematic climax of Bloodborne. But Bloodborne's amazing in general. So, there's not... No, that's not true. You kind of have to pick one of those 3, or else I disagree with you.
Okay.
Although Gehrman Gehrman Joins the Hunt is the hardest bar I've ever heard. What's your pick? Yours, Ludwig?
Yeah, I'd go with Ludwig for sure.
Hasn't seen it. Why Koyomi Reverse over Ougi Dark? I think you probably have a substantive answer here.
So,
I guess in a more vague way, but...
I mean, I have to be a little vague because I'm not gonna like spoil the entire show. But Ougi Dark, you kind of see Araragi, like he makes a decision, right? And he makes a good decision, but then, and like that could have been the end. But with Koyomi Reverse, we see, like, because I was talking about earlier, where a lot of Araragi's arc is like witnessing other people go through things. We see in Koyomi Reverse him taking that like little decision that he made in Ougi Dark and looking at everyone he knows and everything he's done and regrets, and like looking at it from his new perspective, and in that refining his new perspective and working out the way that he will end up living his life in accordance with that decision and the like refining that he's done, and then after that deciding if it is worth continuing on and if he is a like valid, worthwhile person despite everything that has come before. And that to me is a bit more meaningful than the singular decision.
Valid and reasonable.
Yeah.
I didn't listen to what you were saying. I was reading the other responses, but valid and reasonable.
Yeah, perfect.
Do you value critiques or representations of real life institutions, kind of like The Wire? I think we discussed this a bit on the letterboxd video.
Yeah.
I more so, or maybe I could say we more so value this if it is grounded in a more microscopic, singular human point of expression where we can watch the impact on that on one person and see how it affects them and come to light within their developing psychology, rather than just being a more macroscopic glance at the whole where you are less connected to a singular agent in the expression of the art. But in general, yes, that would be my biggest criticism of The Wire, is that McNulty is fairly weak given his status as the main character. I almost wish that like Bubbles was the main character, because he's someone who could carry the totality of the weight of The Wire better. All right, ready?
Yeah.
You've answered this 1,000 times already, but best intro animes. Can't really get into Full Metal Alchemist. So I thought about this a little bit.
Yeah.
And came to the realization that maybe not all of my or our followers, it's my question sticker, but you know, not all of our followers are the most stereotypical possible teenage boy.
Yeah.
So they might enjoy things besides just Full Metal Alchemist.
That's fair. I've had a little list for a while. So
Have you?
Continue.
Okay. Do you want me to give mine?
Yeah.
You can give yours?
Please do.
Okay.
We might have the same ones though.
So I thought, largely based on how appealing I think the first episode is and how it like immediately gets you into it.
Yep,
So my picks are Full Metal Alchemist, Monster, Nana. God damn it, Mark! I had another one. I don't remember what my other one was. All right, well, you do yours. Maybe you have this.
No, beat for beat, bar for bar.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Oh, those are the same ones? Yeah. Just those three.
No, I figured you'd have those. I also like saying A Silent Voice because it's a movie.
Oh, yeah, that's a really good pick.
Yeah.
Yeah. Because, like, how the hell could you not love A Silent Voice?
Yeah.
Yeah. All right, cool. Where do you get all of these cool photo edits? In the question sticker on Instagram, I had a picture of Good Kid, Mad City, but replacing the van with Masato's car and the Evangelion characters, which is a cool edit.
Yeah.
I mostly get my edits from either Pinterest or other Instagram accounts. Thoughts on media gatekeeping or gatekeeping in general?
Dumb.
It's a bit more, like, in the bottom line of it is dumb, but there's a bit more to it than just dumb. So I think that gatekeeping is pretty much always bad, and I'd rather have, like, if I'm going to share, like, my favorite, Umineko. I'd rather share Umineko, have 100 people do it, and only a few of them, which is just not going to happen. Pretty much everybody does Umineko, thinks it's the greatest thing ever, but have only a few of them like it and be really moved and impacted by it, and have the other people not really care for it that much, than just not share it.
Yeah.
Right. But I do think that there can be some negative that's done from exposure to people, because if I expose somebody with a lot of influence to something, and they're able to corrupt a consensus perspective on it, or misattribute elements to the art, or misconstrue what it's saying or anything like that in a large-scale basis. I think that can be harmful, but the ability to do that in any sort of precise way is very limited, and assuming you have that ability is fairly arrogant.
That's
the bottom line is dumb.
Yeah, I guess I'd say in terms of that, I don't really think it's gatekeeping if you want to say like, hey, I don't really think this is up your alley. Maybe your time would be better spent elsewhere.
Because usually gatekeeping is like pretending it's bad.
Yeah,
So,
like pretending it's bad, or like getting mad when like people do it, or like trying not to talk about it so people don't hear about it because you want to be in this little niche and like be alone.
Yeah.
And that's dumb. If you're just like if I say, yeah, I'm interested in reading One Piece, and then people say, hey, I don't really think it's up your alley, like that's valid. I don't really think that's gatekeeping.
Sure.
That's just like knowing what my taste is.
That's just giving a.
It's essentially like a negative
recommendation.
It's like a negative recommendation.
Yeah.
I feel like I'd make a distinction.
Yep. Avatar: The Last Airbender greater than Breaking Bad? ? What's your opinion?
I think my opinion is I'd take Avatar, but I think if I watched El Camino, then I'd take like that.
It's fair and also reasonable. I prefer Avatar. I think that, depending on your value system, I think that Breaking Bad, as expressed through Walter and Jesse, is a more well-explored character study in terms of the complexity and nuance of it. But I think that the emotional element and the stronger, in general, character structure of Zuko, who I see as the central agent of expression, in Avatar is better.
I'd agree.
Have you seen Avatar?
No.
Okay. Continuing, do you think Mark Corrigan is the best character in TV history?
Mm-hmm.
You do?
Yeah, I do.
What's he in?
I don't know.
I don't know who this is, to be honest. Scaring the Hose is Danny and Peggy's discography. Oh, no, Scaring the Hose in Danny and Peggy's discography. Like ranking it, I assume.
Yeah, I'd go like Danny and Peggy and then Scaring the
Stop. I've listened to it 3 times. I haven't considered it in any sort of coherent perspective. Love how it sounds. Great gym album. From what I've been able to gather, it is a artistic success through and through. But I wouldn't feel comfortable ranking it in their discography. My guess is that I would go 3rd or 4th in Peggy's and 2nd or 3rd in Danny's. Which sounds bad. I think Peggy has a better discography, so that's more to his credit. Continuing. I'm just starting to watch Monogatari. Is it all about the dialogues?
Yes.
Yes. Which is weird because it's also one of probably the best animated in terms of like art style animation.
Nice, very nice looking while it's not focused on anyway.
Have you ever played Overwatch?
No.
Do you plan to ever play Persona? Maybe.
No. Maybe's also my answer. I just thought we were
sticking with it. Yeah, that's how I wrote it. Rate the take. To Pimp a Butterfly is better than Morale because I prefer To Pimp a Butterfly's conclusion, which Morale undermines. It's a weird take because he's right, but preferring To Pimp a Butterfly's conclusion thematically to Morale's is insane.
Yes.
I prefer this guy's failure that led to crippling depression, 0 self-acceptance, and didn't move the social needle at all to the culmination and climax of hip-hop as an art form. I don't agree. But I think that some people just prefer more thought-provoking questions to tangible, emotionally effective, powerful answers that should leave a long-lasting change on you as a person.
Yeah. People are weird.
Yeah. No, To Pimp a Butterfly is great. But honestly, I think at this point in Kendrick's discography, the point of To Pimp a Butterfly is that it fails. So I really don't like this take.
It's bad take.
Yeah. And To Pimp fails in terms of action and themes. Of course, it is a phenomenal album. I think it is it's in my top 10 albums ever made. I'm not ripping on To Pimp a Butterfly. I think is exceptional. Making a summer media list any shorter must-do things. Anything short that you've really enjoyed lately?
Sorry. All of that was gibberish, but it just processed.
Sure.
So, recently have I done anything short? I don't think so. I haven't really done anything recently, to be honest. I mean, I guess really you could really try watching the rehearsal without watching Nathan For You, but you shouldn't do that.
I shouldn't do that. Yeah.
You should watch Nathan For You.
That's a good just summer watch in general. Watch Nathan For You and the rehearsal.
Yeah.
And then also read In Search of Lost Time.
Sure thing. Best
pre-workout. Got Nitroflex. Although Jacked 3D or whatever was before my time because it all got banned. But I'm sure because it got banned, it was really sick.
Oh, wait. Movie's kind of short thing, so Everything Everywhere All at Once was really good. I watched that recently.
Jojo.
Yeah.
Very invalid, yeah. Do you think it's better to walk through a red or green traffic light? Is this like a trick question? Is it like...
Which way are you going?
Yeah, that's what I was say. Is it like the light's red and you're walking through it, so that means it's green for people crossing you? So obviously, in that case, it would be better not to have oncoming traffic.
Go in the direction of traffic.
Yeah.
Don't walk perpendicular to traffic.
Yeah.
That will get you killed.
Most overrated book. I haven't finished reading it, but the answer is Lolita. Because the two things that are most appealing about it to most people are that it is
stylistically impressive.
Wait. Not the two things that are most appealing about it. The two things that I like the least in general are pedophilia and art that is appreciated exclusively for style. And that's what Lolita is. I like those two things. So, not Lolita. Jojo villain rankings and thoughts on the Part 8 antagonist.
Yeah, we'll do. Yeah. So we were talking earlier how we have a different way of looking at villains than just like ranking them as characters. And in that, we say like a villain when compared to other villains is better because of how they challenge the main character, whoever it is they're challenging, and push them towards further development and more meaningful development in that challenge. And if we're going to be comparing villains, then we're going to do it like that, because otherwise, Hero would be top? Anyway.
Sure.
If we're doing it as like characters, but as villains, and this is where I find...
the Part 8 antagonist is the best in terms of being a character.
You think so?
Yes.
I don't.
Because he has some sort of realization at the end.
Does he?
Yes.
All right.
He comprehends what the rock people's whole thing is, and challenges his perspective and understands some shit.
That's valid. Yep, that's valid. But as antagonists and how they push our JoJos, if you will, to being the meaningful characters that we want them to be, I think we disagree here, and I am absolutely saying the Funny Valentine is the best JoJo villain.
I am fairly indifferent between the Part 8 villain and Funny Valentine. I think that Johnny is a significantly better character than Joe Skate. Yeah. So I guess that would lend more towards Funny, but I don't feel that strongly here. But I can appreciate where you're coming from. But we agree those are the top two.
Yeah. I think taking the first napkin and how Funny's ideology is presented is fantastic. And all the little minor things around him, him being the president, all of that stuff is fantastic.
After that, huge drop off after that.
Next is Poochie.
Sure.
Yeah.
You haven't finished Part 6. No. But still sure.
Yeah.
I'd probably pick Kira, but
that's right.
Poochie would be fine. After that, Dio.
Yeah. Gotta be Dio.
And then
all that's left is Cars, right?
Cars and Diabolo. I'm gonna pick Cars. Even though, he has literally nothing to his character or his villainy at all. But I think Diavolo also has nothing to his character or villain at all, but people pretend he does, so I like him less.
Can I take Wamu instead of Cars?
Sure.
Yeah.
Wamu.
Definitely.
What are they called? The
Pillarmen?
The Pillarmen. Yeah. We'll say the Pillar
Yeah,
Men.
the Pillar Men.
All right.
Though.
Next up, favorite Elden Ring build/weapons. The build where you are Guts from Berserk, where you use the greatsword and put all of your points into strength, is significantly better than every other build. You're a fool if you play anything else. And I haven't tried anything else. It's the only one I've played.
I like playing the one that's like focused around summons. I think that makes the game the most engaging.
It's fair.
Yeah.
It feels the most rewarding that way.
Exactly.
Where is Bojack in the top 10 shows after every season? It's like if Bojack were to just be cut off, like canceled at the end of each season where we're ranking top 10 shows.
Yeah.
So I actually don't think Bojack has its first like real powerful climax where it comes into its own as a show until the end of season 4.
Okay.
I think the end of season 2 is good, but I don't think that I would put it top 10.
That's fair.
At season 4, so we're going on the climax at the end of Time Zero.
Yeah.
I would say it would be the 6th or 7th best TV show. Western TV show, that is. I'll just my place.
The 6th or 7th Western TV show, and we're talking about like Can You Taste the Ice Cream?
Yeah.
Yeah. I haven't seen many TV shows, so like I'm not really trying to argue. This is more you questioning me.
Sure. Yeah. The 5th season is where I get controversial, to be honest. Do I think that Bojack at the end of Free Churro or Tony Soprano is a better character? Hey.
Can I get controversial?
Yeah.
Can I say that Bojack at the end of Free Churro is absolutely a better character than Don Draper by doing, like, person to person? Is that what it's called?
Yes.
Person to person is Free Churro, but way worse.
Sure.
And then Bojack has another season and a half. Anyway, continue.
Reasonable. I agree with you.
Yeah.
And then at the end of season 6, he's the best character in Western TV. Although you think Nathan's better.
I do think Nathan's better.
But I can go either way though. That's fine. I started The Walking Dead for fun. Why? Don't do that. And how the hell is it 11 seasons? Don't know. I have nothing to offer you there.
Dropped it
my
after
friend.
an episode.
Yep. This is Dane too.
I like Dane.
I like Dane as well. Yeah. How would you describe the writing in Fata Morgana?
Good.
Good, explicit, deliberate. Keika Hanada as an artist feels like the artist that knows what they're doing the most to me. I don't know if I don't know how to explain it, right?
No, that's so valid because like even while like playing like Seventh Layer, it's like I just
feels
got his writing again.
Yes.
I'm like, thank God, this is everything I want
out of
writing.
Art. Yep. Everything I want out of art.
Please just present everything this way.
The only reason he will ever not be the best artist of all time in all mediums is just lack of content. If he just starts like making things as much as he can, he just will be the best artist ever.
Fair enough.
How did you do in English classes?
I think
I was valedictorian in my high school and made that break between me and the other people competing for it because I was the only one who got an A in AP English, which was largely based on writing rhetorical essays about lit. Although we had the same freshman honors English teacher, and if you're familiar with us at all, we're the furthest thing from like Andrew Tate type of dudes. So we are not saying this lightly. She just did not like dudes.
No,
she just did not like dudes. The intelligence of men and women in our grades was the same, of course, and several women got an A and no men got an A in her class in both of our grades. At least in my grade. Is that true for you?
I'm pretty sure.
Yeah.
Because the boy who did the best in that class, she just take like 15 points off his quizzes for no reason.
Yeah. She took on a test that counted as 20% of my entire course grade. She took off 20 points because I said sacrifice instead of scapegoat. What a freaking idiot. I hate that lady.
The boy I'm talking about wrote he wrote intimidated he wrote intimidation. And then she wrote in red pen, classic red pen. This is out of 100. Didn't say fear, -20.
Yeah. So outside of that,
Outside of that,
well.
we did well in English classes. Yeah. I never read for school though. The last book I read for school was The Giver, and so
You just spark noted everything?
yeah, I spark noted everything after The Giver in 7th grade. I read The Giver in 7th grade. I was like, you know what? For books, I'm done. AP English was fantastic. That's one of the best classes. If you're in high school, you should absolutely take that class. It is incredible.
Kendrick Lamar and Fyodor Dostoevsky combined catalog ranking. We're going to go with Mr. Morale, then The Brothers Karamazov, then To Pimp a Butterfly, and then you'd probably say Crime and Punishment is below Good Human City.
I would. Good Human City is better than Crime and Punishment.
I could go either way on those two. And then
Good Kid, Mad City, Crime and Punishment. Damn.
I'd say Demons, then Damn.
I haven't read Demons.
And then Untitled.
Yeah.
And then The Idiot. And then Section 80.
Mm-hmm.
And then miscellaneous Dostoevsky works.
That's valid.
Is Wounds the best sex scene ever written?
I'm assuming, so I don't know, but I'm assuming you're talking about the scars scene from Fata Morgana.
Door 5.
And if you are, then yes.
That's
if you're
fair.
not, probably not sex scene. Oh, wait, no, I'm stupid. They're
What?
talking about the Berserk one. I'm done. I'm speaking.
Oh, nice.
They're talking about the Berserk one.
Fair.
I don't know why.
So
I
you
thought that.
disagree then? Because you think it's the Fata Morgana one?
No, well, that's not a sex scene.
Fair enough. Okay, yeah, sure.
Yeah, I just assumed they're talking about that.
Yeah.
I'm dumb. Yes, it is.
Nice. Stance on Jesus the Messiah.
He's a long-haired Jewish socialist, so like that's pretty neat if I do say so myself.
Just like you.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that's beef. I'm surprised Lord of the Rings wasn't on impressive or fun. Me too. They're referencing our letterboxd tier list video. It's just a great and beautiful adventure for me. I think that if I watched this movie as a child growing up, I would have a similar sense of appreciation as you do, but I watched it as a now 26-year-old man, hoping that it would be one of the most artistically significant works of fiction ever. Maybe not ever, but at least within film. And that's not really what I received in watching it. So it didn't land too much for me. I have a number of complaints towards the story and how it unfolds, especially towards the climax, which I think I addressed in the letterboxd video.
Go watch our letterboxd video.
Go watch our letterboxd video. But I understand and appreciate why people would like it. I don't really want to rag on anybody who loves Lord of the Rings. That's cool. I'm happy for you. Illmatic by Nas turns 29 today, April 19th.
Happy
We're in the
birthday.
19th? No, we're on the 20th now.
Happy birthday.
Happy birthday, Illmatic. Is FLCL alternative / progressive worth my time?
I haven't watched it.
Which is shocking. You've watched FLCL 16, 17 times?
20.
20 times. You haven't watched the other ones?
Yeah.
Nice.
To be fair, the first 16 of those times were before they existed.
Okay. Reasonable.
So to be fair, but I've seen the first episode of Alternative, I believe, when they released it on April Fools, and so I am interested in that one. I did enjoy that first episode.
Reasonable.
Can't really tell you though.
Rant on Blade Runner again. Do you want to rant? You want me to?
Blade Runner is really bad because it tries to invest us in a main character who's struggling with an emotional and moral conflict over like the state of who he is and his humanity. But the problem is that he finds his humanity in a relationship that starts with him raping someone. So it's really bad because it expects us to be invested in a relationship that is founded on sexual violence. And it is really, that's the only scene that actually develops the relationship.
And then it presents its thematic climax through a character who has 8 total minutes of screen time. And ultimately amounts to a really deep Facebook quote that your aunts would post.
Yeah.
It's also really boring. Okay. What is external / internal validation and invalidation? You talk about it quite a lot in music. Example, pure comedy. You just did a nice rant on this on Instagram.
I did.
Do you care to reiterate some of that, or should we just direct them to @AnimeThoughtWorld on Instagram?
There is a highlight where someone asked me like how to get out of depression or something, and I gave like not necessarily like my full because like that's a really long answer, but like a 10 story slide answer on that with like my genuine view. And if you want that, go to Anime Thought World on Instagram. It's I think it's just called life stuff as a highlight.
Nice.
But to answer your question in terms of what external versus internal validation or invalidation means is we all kind of want to feel that our existence, our life, our being, everything that we are is worthwhile in some way, that we are valuable. And to do that, we have to look for a means of deriving that value. And when we say validation, that's what we're talking about, is validating the value that's there. And so the distinction between internal versus external is if you're finding that validation through how you feel, everything that is within you, versus external validation or invalidation being the opposite, where something's making you not feel worthwhile based on some sort of external force, whether that be some sort of widespread societal opinions and status, or if it's like your position within a specific group, or if it's whatever it may be. That's sort of the distinction that I'd make.
Fair. Also reasonable.
Yeah.
Best arcs of the House of Fata Morgana.
The best arcs?
Yeah, so it depends on what we're counting as arcs.
Yeah.
Door 7.
Door 7.
The Revenant
Stream. I forgot what it's called, but there's a title for the Yakupo part of reincarnation. That.
Oh, like Rivers of Oblivion?
Yeah,
something like
that.
That. Part 3 of Reincarnation.
Yeah.
Those are the 3 parts of House of Fata Morgana that lend the actual quality that we're like really long-term considering towards the overall story. Or stories. It's really 2 stories.
Really sick. Like, if Fata Morgana ended at door 5, I would still have it really high. So
Sure.
door 5 too.
Fair.
Were we trying to get to 5?
No, we just
Okay.
said best arcs and Fata.
Okay, so those 4, I'd say.
Where is Beloved in your all-time books ranking? 23rd. Connor's Wedding is much better than Long-Term Parking. This is an interesting one. So long-term parking, in terms of media or something that I watched that made me like really feel something, long-term parking was like made me feel disgusted in a way that very few things did. I felt uncomfortable and out of place the entire day that I watched that episode in. Connor's Wedding, I do think it's a better episode. I do agree with you. I do think that long-term parking is much more effective like as an action. But Connor's Wedding made me go from thinking that Succession was going to end up the most overrated TV show ever to now wholeheartedly rooting for it and expecting greatness from it. So, yeah, I'm with it. Bojack versus Mr. Morale and the Big Steppers in terms of maturity and growth in recovering from childhood trauma. So I do think that Morale and, by proxy, Kendrick's overall narrative journey throughout his music is stronger than Bojack's. I do feel like Bojack zeroes in on this specific idea more and comes to a more fully fleshed out statement towards it.
That's valid. I can agree with that.
Yeah.
I don't have a problem with that take.
If Succession continues on its trajectory, it'll be the best show of all time. So if we're just talking about Western shows, maybe. I guess nothing's out of reach. Anything could be added towards the end of something to really supersede expectations in the level of depth that's lended toward the cathartic, thematic climax of a narrative. But outside of something truly ridiculously special, I don't see it competing with the top anime at all. In terms of competing with the best Western shows, so for us that would be BoJack Horseman and The Rehearsal, it would be exceptionally difficult. I doubt it. If I could put down $100 to win a free McDonald's fries right now, I would gladly do that. But I'm wholeheartedly rooting for it, and I would gladly sacrifice $100 for Succession to end up the best TV show of all time. That would be amazing. I really hope that happens. I doubt it, but I really hope it happens. Best days of the week. Saturday is the best day of the week.
Saturday, obviously.
Yeah, Saturday is definitely the best day of the week. Do you prefer Friday or Sunday?
So I hate it. I hate that I do, but I do prefer Friday.
That's fair.
It's annoying because the fact that like my like anxiety surrounding tomorrow is so strong to the point where I could prefer a day where I have to work over a day where I don't, for the sake of I don't have to work tomorrow.
Sure.
Wild.
That is
but
wild.
the excitement, Saturday is so clearly the best, and the excitement of it does bleed into Friday.
Fair.
For me, Sunday has the dread of Monday, which is honestly not the worst. Tuesday's the worst.
I was literally like opening my mouth waiting for you to stop so I could say Tuesday is worse than Monday for sure.
Tuesday is worse
Tuesday
than
is way
Monday.
worse than Monday, yeah. Because Monday you're relaxed, you're rested from the weekend.
Yeah, you have some modicum of energy from the weekend. Tuesday you ran through all the energy, or on Monday you ran through all the energy you built up on the weekend, and then you still have the rest of the week.
Most jobs mostly
Tuesday.
do full force work, Tuesday through Thursday too. Most office jobs, I should say, because that's when everybody's in. If people aren't going to be in the office, it's generally Monday or Friday.
Yeah.
So Tuesday through Thursday is when the office is at its full strength and going full force. It's usually when you have the most meetings, when you're kicking through the most work. Tuesdays suck.
Yeah.
I like Wednesday. I do a lot of wine Wednesdays in my life, so those help. But then Thursday's pre-Friday.
Yeah.
So, word. What do you think about supporting problematic artists like X, K, Bobby Shmurda, etc.?
Well, for bad artists,
bad artists like this,
those,
just don't bother.
Yeah.
There's no reason to support horrible people who make awful art as well.
There's.
I mean, Bobby Shmurda is kind of sick, but but in general, to separate the art from the artist discussion, at least for me, is largely do your best not to financially support them. I'm a big fan of Mark Kozelek's art, but I buy his albums secondhand. I encourage others to buy his albums secondhand. My favorite movie is Love Exposure. Seance No has some horrible allegations against him. I watched Love Exposure. I don't know what I was saying. I watched Love Exposure in a way where I didn't pay Seance No, and I would encourage you to do so as well.
Yeah.
But I don't think that an artist being a horrible person invalidates your relationship to their art, because their art is not them. It is part of them, but it is not them. You are not condoning all of a person's actions in their life or the totality of their person by loving something that they created.
Yeah.
And where was I going to go from there?
To be honest, I don't know. What I was going to say is you don't even have to support or love every part of an art piece that you love. You can just love a particular aspect of it.
Sure,
and
something that was meaningful and significant to you.
Yeah, and yes, the art was a part of this artist who's a terrible person, but people are multifaceted, and you can love a part of a part.
Yeah.
And have that be meaningful, and I don't think that's invalidated by the things that they do, but I would urge you to not financially support them, as Mark was saying earlier, because then you're increasing their platform, you're increasing their ability to do things that you do not support.
Yep.
And that's bad.
Oh, I know what I was going to say. The other point I was going to make is it is nearly impossible to be consistent with this, which is something that we talk about fairly often.
Fair enough.
When I see people who will rip on me for liking art from problematic artists, but then they're big Miles Davis and Beatles fans.
Yeah.
Come on, man. Like you're the pot calling the kettle black at that point. Like you gotta think things through a little bit.
Yeah.
And then I think there's another dimension to this. There's another question on here, which I don't know if we'll get to, because it's one of the most recent ones, that asked me how I'm okay with enjoying Mark Kozelek's music given the personal nature of it, which I think we already just explained in that point. But they're drawing a distinction between how personal the music feels compared to other artists, which I feel like just completely dismisses a lot of other art. Because I do not feel like Miles Davis's music is personal and expressive of him as a person or his emotions.
Yeah. I kind of think all good art is personal.
And unless your opinion is that Miles Davis's art sucks and Mark Kozelek's is fantastic, then I don't really even know how that's being brought forward as a statement. But okay. Worry, period.
No.
I think he's talking about the Jeff Rosenstock album, which I really like. It's a great album, but I've only listened to it a few times, so I don't have much interesting shit to say about it. I'm interested in Nathan For You, but I'm confused as to what it's about. Care to go into more detail? What makes it the second best Western TV show ever for you? Isn't it just like a reality TV show?
All right, so his name is Nathan Fielder.
And graduated from one of Canada's top business schools with really good grades.
And now he's helping struggling small businesses to make it in this competitive world.
Competitive world. You beat me, man. Come on.
That's what Nathan For You
is about. So yeah, it's a reality TV show with a lot of subversions about it. It's questioning a lot of the underlying essence of what reality TV is, what it's saying about us as fans of it, why we find it entertaining. And then the rehearsal is, it's not its own contained drama, but it picks up where Nathan For You leaves off. Nathan For You ends on an episode that is effectively a movie called Finding Frances, which entertains the first instance of the rehearsal as a concept and really just goes in depth with it. And then the rehearsal essentially reflects on who Nathan is as a person, what meaningful experience is, and how you can derive that from somebody who is very rigid and calculating and logical in his approach to humanity and emotions in general. And it seeks to sort of give a question, or not a question, give an answer to that formula.
Yeah.
And it's really great, and you should definitely watch it. And if you watch the rehearsal and you're questioning, okay, what the hell was that? Why do they think it's so good? Send us a message on Instagram or, comment on this, and we'll be happy to talk to you about it. Artists that are considered legendary that you want to get into but haven't yet.
You don't really have any.
Yeah, do you have any answer to this? It's tough for me because I've kind of gone through the top tier legendary artists of every medium that I'm really interested in. The only exceptions would be I haven't done any Hideo Kojima works in video games.
Like to do him, as I was saying, I like to do Metal Gear
Solid. Yep. I haven't done any Dickens in lit. I haven't done any Nabokov. I haven't completed any Nabokov, but I don't really want to.
That's so valid.
I haven't done any Sanderson.
There you go.
Who I'm planning on starting my first book from next week. And that's really it. I have a pretty wide acumen across all art forms, and those are the art forms that I'm particularly interested in. I'm not much of a still visual art fan, but across the long form narrative art in motion type of art forms that I enjoy, I've done all of the primary legendary artists.
That's valid. I'd like to do Joyce.
Nice.
One day.
Joyce is great. I am upset that I will not have finished Finnegan's Wake before doing my overall all mediums artist list, because I'm pretty confident he will be number 2 whenever I do that.
That's fair.
Let's see. Probability that Bigfoot, aliens, and ghosts exist.
Bigfoot, basically
Small,
0, which is
small.
which is annoying because it's in terms of these three, it's if I had no history of any empirical evidence, I'd say Bigfoot's the most likely.
Sure.
There just being this big ape.
Yeah, this
just,
big humanoid ape.
There just being a big ape doesn't seem that crazy to me.
No, yeah.
But
the fact that
people have been
nobody has found
searching
it.
and searching for them and no one's found it.
This is a phenomenon. There's no tangible evidence that this
where
exists.
we could easily
and it's on
collect.
land.
We can easily collect the
it's on the
tangible
ocean
evidence.
behind us. That's a trillion feet deep and very difficult to explore. People say Bigfoot exists in forests that people spend plenty of time hanging out in.
Yeah.
Everybody carries phones on them at all times. The fact there's no HD image of a Bigfoot that was taken on an iPhone yet.
Yeah. That
seems extremely unlikely. Ghosts. I think you made an interesting point on the. Oh no, not not ghosts. Next up is aliens.
Almost certainly.
Almost certain. Yeah. The observable universe is what? A small portion of what the actual universe is.
That we can assume.
And and even then we have almost zero knowledge of it.
Yeah.
The possibility that we are the only life forms, intelligent life forms that exist at all in a universe that we can't even comprehend the size of.
Yeah.
And based on a limited amount of senses, realistically, because it's entirely possible that there are beings that exist in the universe that we don't perceive in the same way that ants don't perceive a superhighway next to them.
Yeah.
Is credible. There entirely could be organisms like that.
See, and then you brought up an interesting point with, you kind of brought up, nice segue here with ghosts. It's like, do I think that it's very likely that people die and then some essence of them continues on? To be honest, not really. Do I think that it's pretty likely that there's an organism out there and maybe even on Earth that like we just can't perceive? Like, there's a good chance.
Yeah.
Like, I don't think that's that crazy.
Science is pretty... History shows that science is pretty limited.
Yeah.
If there are fundamental aspects of science that we don't understand at this point in time, I wouldn't really be that surprised.
Yeah.
In fact, I'd be surprised if that weren't the case.
Yeah.
All right. Let's see. Hello, YouTube. Have a good day. Favorite album to listen to in the spring? Mine is Fleet Fox's Self-Titled. It just sounds like pretty nature, and I really enjoy a nice sunny day where I'm driving around and listening to it.
That is fair and reasonable.
You don't have one off the top of your head?
I don't.
Okay, I saw you stalling.
Yeah, no, I'm sorry, guys.
That's okay. Podcasts and listening to YouTube videos while working. A bunch of greater than signs.
Yes.
I agree.
You need to do something.
Do either of you guys have a favorite background game for when you're listening to something? Swipe Brick Breaker.
I don't. My attention span isn't that wide. I kind of
I have ADHD, so I need to do that.
I need to focus myself.
Where do I start with JPEGMAFIA? Veteran. Are you a fan of Chaplin?
I've never.
We watched a Chaplin movie together once.
Did we?
You were pretty young, but we did watch a Chaplin movie together.
Okay.
He's fine. I don't really care for silent film all that much in general.
Sure.
Do you think America will be great?
No.
Or do you ever think America will be great? No. All of the structure of the U.S. is incentivizing America to not be great by any competent moral standard. If you mean great as in producing capitalist gains, then I guess, but you should reevaluate your concept of great. No, America's pretty terrible. We're American. We're from the Northeast. We live in a fire nation.
Yeah.
And we're aware of that.
Yeah.
Top 5 characters on Succession. So this brings back up that you had a point to make. Sorry.
I was going to say Kendall, Logan, Roman. Yeah.
Nice. How much Succession have you seen?
About 20 minutes.
Nice. So it brings back up the villain point. So Logan is a sensational villain. I think that in terms of what their character is afforded and what they are meant to do, he performs the best. But he is very much the villain, and his role is to challenge his children. Succession to me is effectively a view of the current state of capitalism and global warming.
Where Thrones.
Yeah, where we were reliant on the system that led us to a point of success as we see it now. But we're in a state of realistic misery and questioning the values and the origination of what led us to this point in general, which is essentially Logan. And we see that this point is metaphorically on its deathbed, and we don't know how to react to it or to move forward. And I think that Logan presents that astonishingly well. In terms of a character that's meant to just represent capitalism, of which there are many, he is certainly the strongest in my estimation. But in terms of a character that's the core expression of something that is building and actualizing its thematic statement, he just doesn't really do that. So I'll say he's one of the 5, but I don't want to rank him because it's like ranking a comedy versus a drama to me. Kendall. Tom.
Interesting pick.
Roman.
Alan?
Shiv.
She was my next pick.
Fair. That'll be the order. Next up. How to get over rejection / getting ghosted as a man.
It kind of
I think this
depends.
is better suited towards me, Scott Dog.
You think so?
Yeah, I do.
Damn. Okay.
As a man.
That's valid.
Okay. So it really depends on your. I'm going to copy exactly what you're going to say. It depends on your relationship with the person that you're getting rejected by. If it's somebody that you have a close, intimate friendship with over a long period of time, and you've come to understand that you have romantic feelings for them and want to advance it towards the next level, and then you're rejected, that's horrible.
Like
And I
that
feel
hurts.
bad for you, and I don't really have much good advice because
My only advice is, you have to accept that they don't want you. That's obviously step number one.
yes, do not continue to push forward.
To do
You should
that,
probably move back a little bit.
you kind of need to take some distance, so you're not, which is gonna hurt because obviously you care about this person, but you kind of need to take a little bit of distance so you can work through your feelings and kind of let them fizzle out naturally, and then after that, hopefully you guys can have a wonderful friendship where you're not, where you're on the same page, really. Did you have anything to add, or did you want to make the second point?
No, that makes sense. The second point would be if this is a girl that you ran into at a bar or on Tinder or something, just get over it, dog.
Yeah, it happens every 8 seconds.
I don't know.
On Tinder,
If you're a guy
fine.
who is behaving at all like a guy and you're interested in, I don't know how to phrase this well, exploring your sexuality at all in any sort of large scale where you're looking towards multiple partners in your youth,
Yeah.
then you're probably going to get rejected a ton by girls or whoever you're interested in.
Yeah.
And that's not really a problem. I've been rejected by, I'm a straight dude. I've been rejected by girls a trillion times.
Yeah.
I don't care. If I get rejected by a girl at the bar, it does not hurt me at all.
So I actually do have an interesting point to add. So in terms of my experience on dating apps, I actually find it interesting because when I first started, like those like earlier rejections, like kind of hurt a bit more where like you're like,
And you're numb to it.
I don't think it's necessarily being numb. I think it's when I was first starting out, like on the dating apps, it's like I'd message people and like I thought like I was sort of doing everything right, if you will. I'm like doing everything right. I'm going at it, and then like they ghost me and I'm just like, what did I do wrong? And I'm starting to like kind of like almost like blame myself and like dislike myself because of that. But
External invalidation.
as you keep going, and somewhere along the line, my
They're
friend,
just the goats from Umineko, man.
yeah, my friend said to me is like, I was saying, I don't get why I can like talk to some people that I'm close with like very naturally and easily, but when it comes to the dating apps, it's like very difficult for me. And he's just like, well, you're comfortable with like people you know, and so you just like say things as you would. And I was like, I don't think that's it. And then I got on dating apps and I was like, that's totally it. Because then I started just saying whatever like I wanted to, and like, you know, then what's going to happen when you do that is you're going to talk to people, and the people that are interested in you are going to keep talking to you because you're displaying who you are, and the people who aren't going to be interested. And that seems like it would be even worse for your self-esteem, because then like you at your core is like getting rejected. But what I found is like, especially on dating apps where it's like you are going through so many people constantly, it's like you get to be on the other side of it, where it's like you're going to match with someone and you guys are going to be talking and you're just not going to be into it. And it's just like not going to be that engaging for you. And that's fine. And you're going to know in that moment when you stop talking to them that like it's nothing against them as a person. Like you just weren't really feeling it. Like you just like don't really feel that you guys are the most compatible. Maybe you just like you're in a bad mood that day. Like it does not reflect on the other person really at all. And I think once you experience that enough from the other side of things, getting rejected's a lot easier because then someone stops talking to you and you know that's how they feel about you. And I think that makes it a lot easier to get rejected on the dating apps.
Fair and
That's
valid.
that's my dating advice.
Nice.
Yeah.
Valid. I'm with it.
Hell yeah.
Thoughts on the Netflix show, Beef? It's meat.
Yeah, beef. It's beefy.
For sure.
Yeah.
No, it looks good. It's an A24 show, from what I understand. I've heard only good things. I'm sure it's good. I'll probably check it out. I haven't seen it, though.
No?
Is Scorsese / De Niro the best actor-director combo? So I thought about this during my workout today a little bit, and I was immediately going to answer this question by saying no, but they're top 10. And then I thought through it a little more.
Mm-hmm.
I assumed that there would be way more stronger pairings than there are. There really aren't.
Interesting.
Because De Niro and Scorsese have made a multitude of strong films together.
Yeah.
But most of the best filmmakers of all time, even if they have a muse, don't have at all the expanse of work that Scorsese and De Niro do.
Yeah.
Because if you look at like David Lynch doesn't really have a consistent, coherent muse over the course of his career, right? If you look at Sion Snow, he doesn't. If you look at Edward Yang, Tarkovsky has Natalie Solnitsyn, but he plays Andrei Rublev. He is the writer in Stalker, and then he plays minor roles in The Sacrifice and Mirror, but it's two movies, you know?
Yeah.
Similarly with Paul Thomas Anderson and Daniel Day-Lewis, you have There Will Be Blood and Phantom Thread, which are on par, if not stronger, than any Scorsese movie to me. But again, it's only two movies. You have Federico Fellini and Marcello Mastroianni, who have La Dolce Vita and 8.5. But again, it's only, I guess they also have City of Women, which is pretty decent. But again, it's a short catalog.
Yeah.
So the only pick that I would say is certainly and significantly stronger, which is strange that there is this big gap here as I see it, is Ingmar Bergman and Liv Ullmann, who have 5 or 6 movies together that are better than any Scorsese movie.
Valid.
Maybe not every Scorsese movie, but every Scorsese movie that De Niro's in, because the best Scorsese movie doesn't even feature Robert De Niro, and the best movie that Robert De Niro is in isn't a Martin Scorsese movie. So, if you're interested in what I mean, Silence is the best Scorsese movie in my estimation, and The Godfather Part 2 is the best movie that De Niro is in, even if he isn't the main character, but he almost, not really, but, you know, he's a significant factor in the movie. But yes, the best actor-director combo is absolutely Ingmar Bergman and Liv Ullmann. Probably one of the most firm opinions I have in anything. But Scorsese and De Niro, especially in terms of mainstream accessible art, is a good pick.